Greetings, my human friends. This is Rudolf of Germany, the tall white alien. First, I would like to thank you for your supporting wishes concerning the debate between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton a few hours back. I believe Donald Trump, with the help and support of our telepathic influence, has done quite well, and in the next two debates he will do even better. I would like today talk a little bit more about the Mandela effect and the consequences you have to experience because of it. I stated before that in about 10 years there will be a major pole shift, a reverse of the poles actually, which will bring a lot of detrimental changes to humankind and life on Earth in general. The magnetic forces on planet Earth will increase, and through the increase also become more unstable, and will, because of that, influence the minds of all living creatures on planet Earth. Since the whole universe, which is nothing but mind itself, is depending on a stable magnetic field, in order for you, for example, and any other creature to orientate themselves, to put some order and a certain timeline into effect, so you can have references to live by increased magnetic influence and so-called magnetic instabilities, these guidelines, these reference points, which you usually have in order to create a personal life in, will increasingly be distorted. Memories will fail. Plans you make for the future will also become more unstable. You will have experienced and will experience, even increased in the future, that the surroundings you are used to have shifted in a way, have changed in a way, that what seems to be familiar to you all of a sudden appears to be not that familiar anymore, and you have the impression and suspicion that you do not really live in the world you were born into. And this is simply the effect of the magnetic shifts which simultaneously will shift the dimensions which are laying all next to each other and will cause an extreme overlapping of different dimensions which have a different content. I told you many times before, as closer dimensions are together, as smaller are the differences in appearance. But as more the magnetic forces increase and become unstable, as more you have to experience that far out dimensions which in a stable magnetic environment would never ever meet or match or overlap, will come together and mix up. So far, you have already experienced many times that the past which you remember has vanished or altered to a certain extent, and that what was for you common knowledge or a clear memory all of a sudden disappeared and has been exchanged for something else. But be prepared for even more dramatic changes. You will even live with people together which all of a sudden start looking different. People who have a certain age, for example, your partner, children, or your parents, will appear to you much older, much younger, or even skinnier, or even put some weight on, or have some kind of personal traits and characteristics which they have not been shown before. There will be a lot of confusion. You might one day get out into a garage to try to work and you find yourself sitting in a vehicle which has a slightly different color than the day before. In the extreme cases, you will not find a car at all or a car of another make. You might one day want to go home from your workplace, walk the city or take a cable car or the subway or your car, and you're driving streets. And all of a sudden you realize you're in a completely different and unknown environment. You cannot find your way home anymore, because home simply, in this distorted, magnetically influenced dimension which you are entering right now or have entered, this home you have occupied until now simply don't exist in this dimension which you are in right now. All these things can happen to you. But it also has a positive effect. There are people who are ill, people who have some kind of major disease or even deadly disease and laying in hospitals ready to pass on, all of a sudden find themselves with a lesser deadly disease, or find themselves waking up in the morning completely healed and asking their doctors, what happened to me? Yesterday I was deadly sick, today I feel well. And the doctors will look at them with a strange expression and say, excuse me, you have never had a major disease, and let you go home. Things like that will happen it will increase over time, and as closer we get to the pole shift, as more dramatic these events will happen and take place. So the debate a few hours ago between the two presidential candidates, Trump and Clinton, is only one of many, many, many different outcomes, and only one between many, many different candidates, which the dimensions have in store. And just don't be surprised if there will be more and dramatic irregularities showing up in your life, and you have to get used that the rigid time line which you are living in usually will disappear until in 10 years everything will come back to a more stable, calm, and predictable environment. This was my message for today. Think about it, because it will have also a tremendous impact on your mental stability. Your Rudolf of Germany.